Radio Sweden Multinational.
No! Radio Sweden International, multinational. We'll try it again, please.
Radio Sweden International. Is that better?
Almost, yeah.
Welcome to the Saturday Show.
Radio Sweden's Country Notebook presents Holes.
O's. At this time of the year, when the snow and ice have melted, one of the most common sights in Sweden is the owl in the road. You come across all sorts, shapes and sizes. Everything from the small pothole to huge gaping crevices. Not to mention the long frost rise slit, which causes more than one problem for our four-wheeled metallic friends with internal combustion engines. I mean the motor cars.
Well, how then do the Swedes react to these exciting surprises that make each spring such a thrill?
I try to avoid them, actually.
Fill them up with a spade.
Sounds like a mechanical spade to me.
I stand on the side of the road noting the numbers of all the vehicles that drive into the holes by mistake. 5,342 was last year's record for a good hole in the road. This year should be even better, what with inflation, less money for repairs. I'm sure that's a lovely hole there.
There are many ways of entertaining yourself. Some good, some bad. One excellent way of having fun on Saturdays is to listen to the Radio Sweden Saturday Show.
Which is exactly what you've tuned into right now. This is Roger Wallis.
And this is Kim Loughran.
And in the studio, we have the man responsible for that genuine Devon accent. A guy called Stuart Ward, who works on local community radio in Stockholm. He'll be talking to you later on.
Right now, this is Mikael Wiehe's new record.
A song called All That I Wanted.
Jag kan vara utan guld och glitter. Jag kan vara utan överflöd. Jag kan vara utan fjäst och smicker. Ungdom som köper det jag gör. Ska jag sälja mig på pengar, ska jag ha vad jag är värd. Det är allt vad jag begär. Allt vad jag begär. Allt vad jag begär. Allt vad jag begär. Nu dansar råttorna på bordet. Ja, reaktionen gör sig bred. Bankpalatsen växer och snuten röstar upp. I takt med att fabrikerna läggs ner. De gör vår framtid till en fälla som när som helst kan slå igen. Och vi kan inte bara blunda och ge upp eller låtsas som om ingenting har hänt. När jag vill slippa höra talas om att det måste vara så här. Det är allt vad jag begär. Allt vad jag begär. Allt vad jag begär. Det är allt vad jag begär.
All That I Need, All That I've Ever Wanted by Mikael Wiehe, coming to you on
Radio Sweden International.
I was just trying to think of some good adjectives. Democratic, unbiased,
yes, makeshift, sloppy,
informative,
plastic.
certainly not racist.
Did you hear the one about the Norwegian who locked his cars in his key? No, that's not right. Let's see. He locked his keys in his car.
Radio Sweden frowns on racialist humor, especially racialist humor combined with drinking. Join Radio Sweden's campaign to keep the airwaves.
Hey, what about the Norwegian who locked his keys in his car?
Well, he had to get a locksmith to get his wife and family out.
Join Radio Sweden in frowning.
And if you feel the urge to frown on a letter and send it to us, then address it to Radio Sweden International, The Saturday Show, 10510, Stockholm, Sweden. We might even send you a free Radio Sweden International Saturday Show badge.
Yes, they're the one size fits all size. They're blue and they're yellow and they're very, very nice.
I told you to keep off that sort of subject.
Yes. Gumaru ay akiv unai.
Sorry, no, this is the English transmission.
Sorry, I was getting mixed up. I got a letter here from Scotland, and I don't know if they're introducing Swahili into the University of Argyll or whatever it is, but
might be Argyle.
Argyle. Spiggy, Tiggy, and Piggy have written to us in some strange language, and they claim that it means "good on you, friends," from us. Gumaru ay akiv u aina. And
I feel better already.
Spiggy, Tiggy, and Piggy probably feel better themselves too, because they'd like to hear some more funky rock music. Well, that first track today, Mikael Rickfors, All That I Want, is certainly funky and rock. Thanks very much, Tiggy, Piggy, and Swiggy, or Piggy, Stiggy, and Liggy, or whatever. The three, you know who you are anyway. Miss Rosie Queen from Assam, India, has written to us too, and she says, "Hello there, you funny people. You make fun, you make humor, you make the listeners happy and laugh." I wish you all the best of luck.
I don't think Miss Queen was amused.
Thank you very much, Miss Rosie Queen. You'd like us to send you Radio Sweden program schedule, sticker, pen pal list, our photographs. We don't have any, I'm afraid, and view cards if possible. Rosie will send you what we have. In the meantime, you need pen pals. Put your name on our program. Rosie Queen, as in of England, you know, Rosie Queen, care of BS Library, Library, BS Library, P.O. Tillberg. No rude comments, please, Roger. P.O. Tillberg, Titabar, postal number 785630. 785630, Assam in India. ASSAM, Assam, India.
You know, if this was the 1st of April, I would think you were having me on. What an amazing combination of names in that address. Miss Queen, care of Mr. Library, and a post office, Tillberg, in Assam, India. That's amazing. Amazing people listen to the Radio Sweden Saturday Show. If you're one of those amazing people, write to Radio Sweden International, 10510, Stockholm, Sweden. Tell them what you think of the Saturday Show, and we can listen to some music now.
Tågsång and the Train Song by Freshwater.
Tåg 1944 ner till Auschwitz. Beräknas kunna ta en passagerare till. Fast världen har förändrat sig rätt mycket, så känns det som om hela långa tiden har stått still. Jag ska inte mer här gången ska stå på perrongen och lyssna till järnvägsbedunk. Tusentals vagnar, människor drivna som djur. Bland stanken och skiten, från gråten och skriken, en liten och trasig figur springer ut i ett fåfängt försök att bli fri. Ska inte med den här gången. Ska stå på perrongen och lyssna till järnvägsbedunk, bedunk, sången. Jag ska inte med den här gången. Ska stå på perrongen och lyssna till järnvägsbedunk, bedunk, sången.
This is Swedish music, which isn't surprising, on Radio Sweden, recorded by a group, I think they come from Södertälje, which is a town just south of Stockholm, a town which has a lot of problems, a lot of immigrants there, and that was an interesting song about the uses that trains can be put to, a certain reference to a rather unsavoury use which they were put to in the early 40s.
Yeah. Yes, Södertälje is also famous for its train station. They have not only one but two. They have Södertälje Södra, which is the south, and the central. And you must stop at Södertälje wherever you're going south of Stockholm.
How did you feel about the line that trains will never be put to the same use again as in Auschwitz?
I don't believe it, frankly. I know that, for example, there are some crazy movements around in the world, like in Argentina. They're trying to blame a lot of their problems on Jews, and these crazy hijackers in Indonesia a couple of weeks ago, a strange fanatical movement had as one of their demands that Indonesia expel all the Jews.
Indonesia, yeah.
So I think that a lot of people would very much like to put those trains to use again.
Yeah, I'm not very hopeful, actually. Fresh water. And I didn't feel more hopeful after listening to some of the statements made at a conference, 3 or 4 weeks ago, on torture in Stockholm. It was held jointly by the Red Cross and Amnesty International, where they reckon that torture in one form or another is being practiced in half the nations of the world.
And it's on the increase.
It's in the increase, and the methods are getting more refined. The scientists have willingly helped the torturers, presented them with methods which don't leave any marks on the victim, so it's difficult to prove it afterwards. But I guess it's hopeful, of course, that an organisation like the Red Cross joins up with Amnesty International. That's certainly an innovation.
The Red Cross is getting more and more involved in pressurizing governments to release political prisoners and in taking care of political prisoners in jails around the world.
In fact, the Red Cross were a bit coy about saying too much about their involvement in this. I think obviously because they don't want to shut too many doors. They want to have access to information, and then hopefully they can feed it to an organisation like Amnesty International, which spends most of its time and its resources embarrassing governments that practice torture. Well, yes, that was a thought. If you have a thought on that, write to us. We like to hear your feelings on all the subjects that are raised in this programme.
John Pheasant of Derbyshire in England has written us a long epistle, much of it concerned with things like racism, and John feels very strongly about the subject. His heart is very much in the right place too.
Well, thanks for your letter, John, and thank you all the rest of you who've written to the Saturday show, Radio Sweden International, S10510, Stockholm, Sweden. More Swedish music, this time from the south of the country, from the province of Skåne. Correct? Dan Tillberg, I think he comes from down south.
Yeah. A song about his own daughter and his own unhappy marriage. Mother's and father's love.
Vi behöver kärlek, vi behöver kärlek. de har längst av dörren, får ingen kärlek. Vi behöver mor och kärlek, vi behöver kärlek. Vi behöver mamma och pappa för att klara av det. Vi behöver mor och kärlek, vi behöver kärlek. Vi behöver mamma och pappa för att klara av det. De hålls utanför allting. Hur ska de fatta någonting? Barnen vet vad och de är nyfikna på allt. Men för att lära sig förstå krävs det övning. Vi behöver mor och kärlek, vi behöver kärlek. Vi behöver mamma och pappa för att klara av det. Vi behöver mor och kärlek, vi behöver kärlek. Vi behöver mamma och pappa för att klara av det.
Don Tillberg from the south of Sweden singing a song about love or the lack of love in a family. Talking of love, there was a strange demonstration a few weeks ago in Stockholm where a number of artists, musicians and other sort of cultural workers expressed a certain, should we say, a sort of lack of love for the government and its policy towards cultural workers.
Yes, they got up at 8 o'clock in the morning, or even earlier if there is anything earlier than 8 o'clock in the morning, and ran around town covering statues with black plastic as an indication of what the city could look like if there were no more grants for culture, no more grants for sculpture and so on, because the government is cutting back very, very strongly on grants to the cultures. And Radio Sweden, of course, being culturally inclined,
did our little bit, did we,
yes,
for the artists.
The arts is having a hard time in Sweden these days. The government is cutting back on all kinds of grants because of some insane desire to save money or something.
I thought that inflation meant you lost money by saving it.
Oh, at any rate, artists are up in arms and a state of virtual war exists between them and the government.
Men, we're in big trouble. There's a government attack breaking through over there by the National Museum. Go and dump some paint on them. Bugle Corps, blow the charge! The joys of going to battle with sensitive artists, I ask you.
Sir, the government has raised the white paper. Either they're running out of paper or they want a truce.
You're right, Adjutant. Look, it's the Minister for Cultural Affairs, Philharmonic. He's coming this way.
All right, you chaps. You've won. Now let's make a deal. The government will give you all you artist chappies, all the crayons and tambourines you can use.
And in return?
The government wants its statements to be recognised by you artist chappies as sheer poetry. Okay, blank verse then. We'll give you all French berets and little moustaches.
Okay then, all right.
And so, in a central concert hall a week later...
On the issue of increased aid to the forestry industry, it's a question that concerns both you and me. And just as the woodsman wields his woodsman's axe, we're going to solve the problem by increasing tax. Thank you.
And so the arts and politics meet in a glorious compromise that gives happy Swedes both lousy art and muddle politics. Copyright Radio Sweden International, 1981.
Time for today's guest on the show, and I'm not quite sure if our honoured guest would play this sort of music on one of his disco programmes on the local community radio transmitter. We better ask him. Stuart Ward.
No, I wouldn't play this one, to be quite truthful, but I must correct you there. I don't just play disco on my programmes.
You don't?
No.
Well, anyway.
That's a vicious rumour that's been spread around by our enemies.
All right, let's start at the beginning and go round to the end. You come from England, and we heard you using that wonderful Devon accent in one of our sketches earlier on, which means you probably come from the south of England.
Yes, I was wondering if I should answer all the questions like this.
I found Exeter very invigorating. All those hills you have to
Yes,
walk up and then walk down again. Climb
very
up. Yes.
energetic, healthy people.
But from that part of glorious England, what brought you, or how did you get into community radio in Stockholm?
It's a long story. I was involved with the student union at Stockholm University, and the local community radio was implemented in 1979 and started in 1979. And the student union at Stockholm University decided to participate, and I participated in their programs, and that's how the whole thing started for me.
We better explain for listeners who aren't in on these recent developments in radio in Sweden that I think it was the Liberals and the current government who have been pushing this idea of community radio or access radio, whereby small transmitters are erected in some cities and associations, bona fide associations, societies can have access to them and, say, have a quarter of an hour or an hour a week on certain days.
How come that the student union could conceive of having you broadcast in English on local radio?
Well, it started because we started broadcasting in May of 1979, and everybody was disappearing from the student union and from the university for the summer, as everybody does.
You were the only person left around.
I was one of the few people left, yes. And we also thought, well, a lot of foreign students here during the summer, a lot of foreigners generally, foreign visitors generally in Sweden during the summer, so why not do a program in English? We give them some information and so on, because there's not very much happening at the university, not very much happening at the student union, so give them sort of general tourist student information of what's going on in Stockholm during the summer. In English.
Now, the first period, it was a pretty cheap operation, wasn't it? I mean, you didn't have to pay anything to the copyright authorities for the use of music during the experimental period. But now it's become far more expensive, isn't it?
Yes, because the Swedish organisation STIM, as it's called, the Swedish
PRS,
Performing Rights Society, suddenly heard about this local community radio and realised that we do have quite a lot of listeners, and quite a lot of people were listening to us and perhaps recording programs and so on. And they felt, well, we've got to have our share of this, and the same rules should apply here as apply for the national radio and so on. So they decided that perhaps we should also pay a fee for the music that we play, and that started on the 1st of July last year, 1980. So of course that means that our programs cost us a lot more. In fact, they didn't cost us very much at all, as you said.
But you're still going strong, aren't you?
Yes.
Not for the Student Union, but for some other organisation which was in fact started just to make radio programmes, right?
Well, in some ways it was, yes. And we cover our costs by members' fees, membership subscriptions.
So in fact, Sweden has got a form of subscription radio now.
Yes, you could put it that way.
Well, would you like to present this record? You've never heard it. You don't know what it is, do you?
Raket, Rocket, Mats Olofsson.
Interesting text. You're a rocket, I'm your planet. This is not a platonic love song between two men, because rocket, in fact...
Rocket means girl, apparently, in some tiny Stockholm slang.
Rather a strange choice of slang, isn't it?
True, but then yes. Stockholm's a strange city. Radio Sweden's a strange radio station. We'll be back again next week doing the same strange things on the Saturday show. Write to us at Radio Sweden S10510 Stockholm, Sweden. In the meantime.
You have been listening to Radio Sweden, Stockholm. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time and on the same frequencies. That is 9,630 and 21,610 kilohertz, 31.2 and 13.8 meters. If you would like a list of our programs, times, and frequencies, please write to Radio Sweden, S10510, Stockholm, Sweden.